Gotta get ready. Gotta have my water. Let me just take a sip actually. Hello, fellow basement dweller here. So I was thinking of making videos about music and music review and just generally just talking about music, and I decided that I should just pick an album and then break them down and tell you all about it. However, I started with the idea of an album review, which means giving my input. But as you may know, or you don't know, I'm not qualified to do that. I'm no music theorist. I don't really study music like that. I wish I did, but I'm not like that. However, I am one to brain rot. And brain rot I do. So with this brain rot, this also leads to me wanting to do a lot of research. Research that comes in as fun facts, background, trivia, whatever. And so I was just like, well, what if I do that for an album, But yeah, that's really it. It's nothing too music heavy. Like, you're not supposed to already taking a course in music theory and music composition to understand what I'm going to be talking about. Just a little warning there, this video is just to encourage discussions amongst the community. If I do miss something, fuck me. But if I don't miss anything, well, that's good. And since the video I'm doing right now, it's about, the debut album of Weezer, well, I have to talk a little bit about the history before the first album. Nothing too crazy. I'm not going to get into, Rivers Cuomo's life when he was 3, but I'm going to give some background so, everything makes sense. Other than that, yeah, I hope this is a fun video, and let's get started. So, Weezer, the Blue Album, what you know about it? Start off. Released on May 10th, 1994. Fun fact, it was produced by Rick Ocasek from The Cars. If you don't know who that is, he's a pretty good songwriter, lead guitarist, and he's a pretty good guy. Before we get into it, we need a lineup. We need the boys. And the Gooner Squad is Rivers Cuomo, Pat Wilson, Matt Sharp, and Jason Cropper. Yes, there's no Brian Bell right now. We have a lineup, but what happened before that? How did this lineup came to be? Well, that all starts with Mr. Weezer. Now, Rivers was coming in at a really bad state already in his life. He got kicked out of a trade school for guitar. I do know that he has explained that he was basically expelled no matter how hard he tried to get back in. He wasn't going to class. He was going to a lot of gigs. He was just skateboarding around town. He wasn't being a good student. So he gets dropped. What next? Well, misery happens. After not finding enough band members leaving, not, coming through, a lot of breakups, the guy was not having fun. Things will start to change when Rivers started working at a record store. In this record store, he met a really cool punk rock dude named Pat Finn. Not Pat Wilson, Pat Finn. When meeting Pat Finn, he actually, showed him a little bit of his style. In his style, I mean music. At the time, Rivers wasn't really into grunge or rock in that way. Bands like the Pixies and Sonic Youth he didn't really like, and he just saw it as noise. But giving them re-listen after Pat Finn was like, you should check it out, he eventually liked it. Not only that, but at the time Nirvana's Bleach came out, and River was just like, holy shit, what the fuck. So that was a big inspiration for him. Not only that album, but their single Sliver was also a great inspiration for Rivers. Now, Rivers found a new style of music. He fucks with it. He wants to make music. Well, he needs a band. So Pat introduced him to Pat Wilson. Pat Wilson was a drummer who was really into like Van Halen and There Might Be Giants. And eventually they just clicked that much that they would just move in together. Now, Wilson wasn't entirely living by himself. He already had a roommate, and that roommate was Matt Sharp. But unfortunately, Matt Sharp would not join them in their little band gigs until much later. So Rivers and Wilson, they're like, well, we need a show, we need a gig, we need a band, let's start one. So they came up with the idea of Fuzz, which unfortunately Fuzz only had 2 shows and they were done. Apparently problems with their bassist ended up leaving, so they couldn't really do much about it. So right after that, Rivers and Wilson made 60 Wrong Sausages. 60 Wrong Sausages lineup was Rivers Cuomo, Patrick Wilson, Pat Finn, and Jason Cropper. Also, this band didn't last long. I think Pat Finn was the one who dropped out, which is like 2 bassists already on the lineup that left. 2 bands down the drain. Not really a good record. Let's take a step back. So taking a step back, Rivers decided that he was going to write 50 songs before he even thought about making a band or making a live gig. Pat Wilson was also in this process. However, they never got to 50. They just gave up. They didn't exactly give up, but song 35, they were like, let's just play. During this spell of songs, Rivers will move to Santa Monica and just put his whole time making demos and demos and demos. In this process, Jason Cropper said that Rivers actually made a never-released album about his lifelong journey being vegetarian. The album, of course, being called The Vegetarists. His never-before-seen rap album actually has like no other evidence except him saying that. But also there is evidence. Rivers actually made a cover of one of Ice Cube's song, and it was for The Vegetarists, and it was changes the lyrics to, vegetarians, yeah. Now Weezer is a little bit broken right now. Weezer's not even a thought right now, mainly because they're incomplete. They don't have a bassist. Where's the bassist? We need a bassist. Bassist came with Matt Sharp. Now Matt Sharp, as I know, he used to just take random flights and just like don't do anything. Like he would just come back right after. The man was just bored. He used to just put on cassette tapes, listen to music, enjoy the ride, and yeah. On one of these trips, Wilson sneaked in one of Rivers' cassette tapes to Matt Sharp. Matt ended up listening to it. He loved it. He was like, oh, I never heard this before. Contacted Rivers, and he was just like, yo, this is incredible. He was really optimistic about it, and he decided to join Rivers. Now, huge confidence boost to Rivers. It's not always when you just get complimented like that and someone's just like, I need to be part of your band. But not only that was a huge confidence boost, his girlfriend Jennifer, actually that's not right. It wasn't his girlfriend, they were just kind of like a thing. Cuomo was heartbroken after, many breakups and all this stuff. He met Jennifer. Jennifer was really nice to him, put a lot of confidence in the guy, and that plus Matt helped them, start off Weezer. So now we have Rivers, Patrick Wilson, Matt Sharp, Jason Cropper. We got the band. Let's make some fucking music. Weezer's form. Hell yeah. Now, I didn't want to add this because I felt like everyone already knows this and it's like a simple fact, and I wanted to like draw it out into the video, like just put it like in the middle of the video, so like I don't want to start off with this fact because it's just super corny in my opinion. But Weezer's name, where did it come from? What's up? Weezer? Waza? What is it? The name of the band came in when Rivers got a call. The call was just basically this gig was like, hey, Keanu Reeves with this band is gonna come in, they're gonna be cool, but the closer just bailed on us. Can you be the closers? And Rivers, of course, was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then eventually the guy just asked him, what's your band's name? And Rivers couldn't come up with anything. He was just like, Weezer. And now you might ask, well, where did Weezer come from? Why he say that? Rivers Cuomo has asthma, and he was known to wheeze in his childhood. That was actually his childhood nickname given by his father. Now, when his father wrote to him, he will always underline to Weezer. However, he will misspell it every time and will just forget the H, and he would just type out Weezer like we know today. And Rivers just found that fitting. He was on the spot, and he just said it, and eventually it stuck. Now, they got a band. No one goes to their show. They actually bombed the Keanu Reeves closer show. No one went to see them. When Keanu Reeves left, everyone else left. This was really frustrating for the band and Rivers. They couldn't find an audience as everyone else seemed to focus on grunge and rock. To put us into better perspective on what people were listening to back then, or just the music scene in general, Nevermind was released in 1991. Bad Motor Finger by Soundgarden released in 1991, and fucking 10 by Pearl Jam released in 1991. So as you can say, the heavy hitters of grunge were here to stay, and alternative rock wasn't that big of a deal right now. This didn't discourage Weezer at all, and instead decided to make another demo. This demo was recorded on August 1st. It was called The Kitchen Tape. The Kitchen Tape, The Kitchen Tapes, The Kitchen Tapes. I don't know how to say it. Every time I go to a different website, they say it differently. They add an S, they add a the, or whatever the fuck. So I'm just going to call it The Kitchen Tape. On this Kitchen Tape, songs like Saying Ain't So, Undone, My Name is Jonas, all the classics were in there. And thankfully to this tape, Geffen Records took notice of Weezer. They were like, we just need a fucking alternative band. And, Weezer was just there, and they were like, yeah, sure, those guys. Now, they got signed. Time to make the album. What's up? Well, Rivers comes up to the Geffen Records and he basically just says, hey, I want to self-produce the album. Imagine being told this as a record company. This rookie band that has never done really anything comes up to you and they're like, well, we want to take over the project. Not really confident in their abilities, Geffen actually says, well, we got Rick Ocasek. And, Weezer was like, oh, well, it's Rick Ocasek, we can't say no to that guy. So Rick Ocasek was put into production with Weezer. Now, as Weezer started recording the Blue album, some problems started happening between the band. And those problems were mainly caused because of Jason Cropper. Now, Jason Cropper was the original rhythm guitarist for Weezer. And during the recordings of the Blue album, Jason Cropper found out that his girlfriend Amy was pregnant with his kid. This took a toll on the guy. I'm told that he wasn't. I'm told like I was. I say I'm told like I was fucking. I was there, like someone told me. But what happened is that, you know, his personality was not good. His mindset was not good. He was bringing, you know, just bad vibes into the work environment. He wasn't handling it well. A couple of times the band would be like, "Are you okay? Are you sure you can do this?" And he always said he was fine. But then 20 minutes later, he ended up on the roof of Electric Lady screaming or something. The other guys in the band got a little spooked. Now, eventually, Rivers would kick out Jason Cropper out of the band. This happened when they were in New York. They were recording. Jason Cropper was fine. However, Amy just showed up unannounced with no money, nowhere to stay, and she was just begging for a place to stay. Eventually, that's when Rivers snapped and he fired Jason Cropper. He explained it to me as kindly as he could. "I like you. We'll stay friends, but I can't. This is a really special moment for the huge amount of work we've done to get here, like a lifetime's worth of work. I don't feel like you get it in the same way." Now with this, Jason gets fired. You know, we're down a guitarist. It's all good. We'll just find another one. After getting rid, I shouldn't say rid, but after firing Jason, Rivers came up to Rick Ocasek, and basically just said, "Yo, we're taking him out of the album. Like I'm redoing all the guitar parts." Rivers came in and said, "I'm firing the guitar player and I'm going to do all his guitar parts over." I said, "You can't do that," but he did in one take. So now we got rid of the guy. We got rid of the guy on the album, but still we need the guy. You know, we need a guy. And a guy came indeed. When Weezer was looking for a replacement, Matt Sharp came to the rescue and was like, "I know a guy." And know a guy he did not, because Brian Bell, they didn't even know he played guitar. Matt Sharp just kind of had an intuition with the guy. Like, he will see him around the shows. He was like a supportive friend, whatever the fuck. He was at the shows. Matt Sharp just believed that he played guitar, which he was right, but like, why would you just think that? Eventually, Matt Sharp called Brian Bell for an interview. I do know that this interview was kind of going nowhere, as Rivers described that Matt was just walking around the bush too much. So Rivers, frustrated, grabbed the phone and decided to take over the interview. They call me up, and the very first question Rivers asked me is, "What is my favorite Star Wars character?" I thought of the most obscure character I could, which was Hammerhead. I also knew that Rivers loved Kiss, and I could care less for Kiss, but I totally lied and say I was way into Kiss. Boom, we got a Brian. He got hired. What's up? Brian gets brought into New York. You know, he gets into the hotel, knocks, whatever. He's like, my new band members. I can't wait to meet them. Rivers opens the door, cop mustache. Now Rivers is like, "Hey, how's it going? You know, all this stuff. Grow out your mustache." Then he eventually explains that, you know, everybody's gonna grow out their mustache because, you know, they're doing it for the album cover. Which Brian was just like, "Are you sure?" Which Rivers wasn't sure, and he was like, nah. After that conversation, all done, you know, we get the formalities out of the way. It's time to go to bed. Rivers eventually is just like, "Well, here's the floor. Knock yourself out, you know, take it." On top of that, Brian found out that he was sharing rooms with Pat Wilson, which Pat Wilson came up to him and he said, "Hey, welcome to Weezer," and just turn around and mooned him. And with that, we got the boys. We got Rivers Cuomo, Matt Sharp, Patrick Wilson, and Brian Bell. The Weezer 4. Yeah. Now, before we start talking about the actual songs and, you know, given the history and all that fun stuff, I want to talk a little bit about the artwork. The artwork is super quick, not that, you know, expensive. You know, you can see it. Like, I don't know how to explain that much. But what I do know is that Cuomo has said that everybody was okay with the album cover. However, Matt Sharp wasn't. And the reason why he didn't like it was because he didn't like how his head looked. So they had to go back and Photoshop and, you know, change his face. So that's not his face. A lot of people said that this album cover looks a lot like the ones from the Feelies from Crazy Rhythms, which Weezer didn't know anything about, so couldn't be that. Instead, according to, you know, Carl Cucci, Cuomo was just inspired by like a cheap cover of like a Beach Boys Greatest Hits like cassette, and they were just on a blue background. You know, they had like normal shirts, and Rivers was so inspired, he just went, "I want that." And yeah, they got the album cover. Now, before we get into the music, I did want to point out that not a lot of songs had a lot of info sometimes. You know, the popular songs, Body Holly, Saying Ain't So, Undone, have a lot of history to it because a lot of people want to know. But unfortunately, if you're like a Surf Wax America guy and, you know, like a holiday guy, there isn't a lot to talk about, a lot of fun facts. But I did find enough information that this is worth it. I'm not going to just sit here and be like, well, no one else doesn't really mean anything, right? I am going to try to at least find some fun facts and some information. So, you know, no, every song gets its fair share. So with that, we'll start with My Name is Jonas. Now, the early composer was Patrick Wilson. You know, it was part of the 50 song challenge that him and Rivers had going on. It was demoed, you know, in either 1991 or early 1992. But the only difference between the demo and the original is just that the melodies are a little different. Now, something interesting is that in the liner notes, Jason Cropper gets credit for this song. The main reason is because he came up with the song intro. I got home from work and I remember I was still wearing my cook's outfit. I picked up the guitar and played the first part of what became the intro of My Name is Jonas. And Pat said, stop, just do that. Just don't keep going to different chords. Just do these 3 notes, those 3 chords. Now with this song came a lot of misconceptions. Not a lot of misconceptions, there's 2, but like, who am I? One easy misconception that it's easily debunkable is that the song references the book, The Giver. The only reason why people link these two, the song and the book, is because the main character of The Giver is Jonas. That's about it. So, of course, this can't be true as The Giver came out a whole year later after My Name is Jonas was demoed and all that stuff. Now, the second one is a tricky one because a lot of people believe that this is the reason why the song was made, or, you know, the lyrics and the references. So a lot of people believe, even fucking Genius believes, which you're wrong, Genius, more like idiot. So in 1992, James Kills, Rivers' little brother, got into a car accident. And that incident, Kins was injured, wasn't bad, but he was injured, and he filed a claim to his insurance company. His insurance company was just like, no. And so, you know, the lyrics about, you know, corporations, workers, his little brother, a lot of people came to believe that that was him referencing that incident happening. But I want to point this out. I found this out, so I'm really proud that I found this out all on my own, and like it wasn't written somewhere. I had to look for it. But I can safely say that My Name is Jonas was demoed and actually played live on gigs way before the incident happened. I did say that My Name is Jonas was demoed either 1991 or early 1992, but the incident happened already into like mid 1992, so they couldn't be any possible way that these songs were linked. A little fun fact I can throw at you is that My Name is Jonas in the demo originally ended with My Name is Weezer. Enough of My Name is Jonas, let's move to the second track, which is No One Else. No One Else was exactly what I was talking about, that there wasn't just a lot of information about this song. It's kind of like those easy ones that, you know, they just ask Rivers, what's this song about? And Rivers answer, and that's it. Now, No One Else, Rivers describes that this song is about, you know, that asshole, creepy guy that worried and was too jealous and ended up freaking out his girlfriend. Pretty simple. There's nothing else much to it. You know, it's a pretty straightforward song. However, there's a little fun fact, but I'm going to wait for the next song to actually bring up that fact, so bear with me. My chair moves a lot. However, I did find a lot of fun facts. Not a lot of fun facts. I found like 3. Let's calm down here. I say a lot. So No One Else had a little bit of fame because it's the only song in standard tuning. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about music, but this is a cool fact. The rest of the album wasn't half a step down. Todd Sullivan, an AR representative from, you know, Geffen, you know, the guys who signed him, he has stated that this song was one of the main reasons why he was interested into signing Weezer. So thank you, No One Else. Also, the intro for No One Else is just a refurbished intro for another Weezer song they had called Paper Face. And that's about it for No One Else. Yay. Now moving to a little bit of a more, you know, in-depth song, we have The World Has Turned and Left Me here. Now, I said there was a fun fact that I wasn't going to say No One Else, that I was going to say in this song. And that is that Mr. Weezer himself has stated that this song and No One Else are connected. Not connected, but in a sense that they share a story together. That story was that No One Else is about, you know, this crazy guy that freaked out his girlfriend and, you know, super jealous, all this stuff. And The World That's Turned and Left Me here is that same guy, but, you know, his girlfriend left him, he's all alone, and he just doesn't know what to do. However, this seems to be an inconsistency with the songs. As The World Has Turned was actually, you know, in the kitchen tapes, demoed, played live, while No One Else hadn't at the time. Like, no one saw this song until the Blue album. So no one really understands, you know, if it was just, he just changed the meaning when he wrote No One Else And he was like, oh, it could be about this, or all this stuff. It remains to be seen. I just like to take his word for it. He made the songs. This song, I do know that Rivers actually struggled a lot with this song. He just couldn't come up with a guitar solo, and he was just in a silly little corner playing. No one came to bother him. He wasn't making shit. And then Rick Ocasek was just like, he came up to him, he was like, I'll help you. That's a second thank you, Rick Ocasek. I'm tempted to think that our song, The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, is about the day my girlfriend left me. I remember that sad day. I picked up my guitar and spilled tears of grief over those 4 sad chords. But if I think very carefully, I also remember that a week later, I met this new girl named Sonia and forgot all about the first girl. But still, to this day, that song makes me sad, and it still rings true. So maybe it wasn't about what's her name after all. Maybe it's a sublime tale of how my mom refused to suck on me one night in my infancy. Who am I to say? So after reading this, I was pretty clear that dude just doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm hungry. I'm starving. Let's take a water break. How was your day? Yeah, it does that to you, yeah? Ooh, have you drank water? Hands down, Buddy Holly is probably right now the most popular Weezer song. It has the most plays on Spotify, but not only that, it has the most plays live. Rivers has stated multiple times that Buddy Holly is just his favorite song to play live, and that's why it gets played a lot. Now, the start of this song, how it was made, it all started when Rivers went to Santa Monica College Choir, met this guy, his name was Steve Gaff. Thank you, Steve Gaff. And he had this silly little cog keyboard, and Rivers started playing with it. Now, the silly sounds coming from the synthesizer actually can't. Got a lot of water in me. The sounds coming from the keyboard actually inspired Rivers to make this new wave-ish song type. And with that came Buddy Holly. The chorus melody, though, I came up with as I was walking through the lawns of the campus. The melody was in time to my steps. Ooh wee ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly. The lyrics I struggle with, trying to find the right reference points. An early version read, ooh wee ooh, you look just like Ginger Rogers. Oh, I move just like Fred Astaire. Now, the lyrics, what are they about? Who's the homies? Who's the girl? What's going on? Not surprising at all, this song is actually referencing something that happened to Rivers. Rivers had a friend, she was pretty good, they were chill, everything happening. However, the Weezer guys, the band, the actual band, were the ones making fun of Rivers' friend. The greatest plot twist of the century, greatest discovery ever made is that the homies dissing his girl was Weezer itself. However, this would be one of the few times that Rivers actually spoke and wrote a song like this about band struggles, because he just felt weird that to write a song about the struggles in the band and then make the band play that song. Moving on, I want to talk about the music video of Buddy Holly shortly here. The music video was one of the main reasons why Weezer actually went into such a mainstream stardom. The music video was quite simple. The band was put in this stage. The stage was referencing a segment called Happy Days. You're not supposed to know that, it was a super long time ago, but at the time it was really important. And they did this little trick where they will put the band, new footage, and then they will mix in footage from the show to make it look like the band was in the show. In the video, you not only had them referencing Happy Days, but actual Happy Days was going on in the music video. On top of that being such a goofy pop culture referencing video, the video was also part of the installation for the CD of Windows 95. These motherfuckers were on computers back in the day. So people being forced to watch your music video and MTV loving your video, they went straight into fame. Now, I do know that as they were making the video, Rivers didn't like the idea at first. He was worried that people were gonna see the band as just a joke band and no one was gonna take him seriously, which he was kind of right. A lot of the backup dancers were actually a lot of Weezer's friends. Some of those friends were even members of the band Dog, those members being Tony Maxwell and Anna Waronker. Now, enough of Buddy Hollying, let's move on to the next song, and that is Undone. Now, Undone to me is actually the most interesting song in this whole list. The reason why this is so interesting is because it reinforces a theme that I saw throughout, my research of this video. And that is that a lot of people are going to misinterpret or just not see Weezer as Weezer was trying to present itself. Undone is the feeling you get when the train stops and the little guy comes knocking on your door. It was supposed to be a sad song, but everyone thinks it's hilarious. Now with this quote, it's pretty clear that Rivers wanted the Undone to be a sad song. And just no one else saw that at the time. Even till then, people don't think this is a sad song. I remember seeing a TikTok that went viral about Weezer that was people being like, oh, how would anybody cry to this sweater song? This is just silly little... I cried to the sweater song. In the earlier shows, a lot of the fans were referring to Undone as just the sweater song, that sweater song, the sweater song, the sweater song. So eventually the band came in and added the sweater song into the title. However, Rivers didn't like parentheses and he thought it looked bad in title, so he put a little dash. I took typing, Psych 101, and English 101 that semester. It was in my English class that I heard the analogy of the unraveling sweater. Dr. Einstein used the image to demonstrate the effectiveness of focused thesis statements in an essay. All I have to do is hold a single thread in your sweater and I will unravel as you walk away. So, Undone. We all know the song. We all know the dialogue, actually. You know the dialogue? Everyone knows the dialogue. It's pretty simple. Hey, brah, how's it going? All right. You know, that one. Well, that dialogue actually wasn't the original dialogue they were trying to go for. Carl Koch, which I'm very sorry I haven't introduced him yet. Carl Koch is also a very important figure in the Weezer lore. He's basically just a longtime friend of Weezer, supporter. He kept the archive, he took pictures, he wrote down everything they did so they can just have this archive of Weezer. And honestly, thanks to him and other individuals that actually care about the Weezer lore, this video wouldn't have been possible. Now, Carl Koch came in and he was like, yo, the song collage, you know, we make this collage of all the footage I found, and you know, we put it in the start, you know, of all these sounds. They carry out this idea into the Blue Album, well into the Blue Album, I should say. Geffen knew about this, and it wasn't until the very end where Geffen was just like, yeah, nah. Geffen was just very worried of the licensing issues and cost of the samples that they were getting, so they couldn't really make it. So during late productions, they had to change it. Now they decided to write spoken dialogue between Matt Sharp and Carl Koch, as well as dialogue between Koch and Mikko Allen. Undone was also chosen as the first single that Weezer was ever going to put out, and also was the first one that helped them gather attention. So when the album released, Weezer struggled a lot to actually gather attention. Geffen wasn't really in the mood to, you know, put money into them because they didn't see potential yet. The only time they saw potential was when Undone was becoming pretty popular around the Seattle area and, you know, the local stations around. So they saw people kind of liked it. Some people, you know, it was kind of known in some areas. They said, fuck it, let's make a music video. Now in the music video, the band was really persistent that there shouldn't be any sweater in the music video. This came as a surprise blow, as Geffen had like 20 fucking ideas to put a sweater in this bitch. They had an idea of them playing in a sweater factory. They had an idea of them, all of them in a giant sweater playing together. So with this, they pass on the video to Spike Jonze. If you don't know how to pronounce Spike Jonze, here's how to do it. Spike Jonze had one simple pitch. He came up to the band, to Geffen, and he was just like, hey, we got a blue stage, a Steadicam, and a pack of wild dogs. What do you say? And everyone was just like, hell yeah, let's do it. So they get everything ready. They get the Steadicam. Spike Jonze says, I want to do it in one take. Everyone agrees, doesn't see that much difference into it. The dogs are kind of acting up. Doesn't matter. They're dogs. However, another thing they have to do, they have to play the song faster in 2x speed, basically. So the whole point was for them to have an illusion that when they slow the song down or the video down and they put the song over it, it looks like they're playing in the right timing. On top of all this, you know, have to do it in one take. You got a bunch of puppies just playing around. It wasn't going well. They couldn't get the dogs to do the right part. They were acting up, of course, because they were just a bunch of dogs. Everyone was frustrated. It was just in one take. They couldn't do it. So it was going to shit. So it wasn't until like the 15th and 20th take that they actually just lost all hope for this video. Now, it was just frustrating, you know, having to redo the takes, playing the song in 2x speed. The dogs weren't acting right. I know that one of the dogs even pooped on like Patrick's pedal, which wasn't nice. Weezer stopped taking the video seriously. They were frustrated every time they were playing. You know, they were exaggerated because of how frustrated they were and all this stuff. It ended working out in their favor, as, you know, people liked this. The humor of it was what drew people into this video. And the video was a success, so yay. Now, a little fun fact. So when this song was going to be shown as a single, they wanted to make a single mix, which Weezer was happily to do. They didn't really care. They were just going to think that they were just going to shorten the song and, you know, throw it out there. However, Geffen did edit the mix and did make them shorter, but it took a lot of seconds from the guitar solo at the end, which Weezer didn't fuck with. Funny enough, Weezer like gave the green light of this edit without even hearing the edit because they didn't think it was gonna be that bad. But when they heard it, they were just like, yeah, put that shit back. Now, another little fun song that's gonna be really quick, we're not gonna be here in this stop, is Surf Wax America. Surf Wax America was originally written by Patrick Wilson, and to him, this song, he describes it as a very well needed up-tempo song. Another desperately needed up-tempo number. Rivers especially really loved the Beach Boys, and I think he tapped into that vibe a little, but in a more punk rock way. I don't believe any of us had ever surfed at that point. We were painfully lacking in self-awareness. It's a young person's take on the world, saying, this is bullshit. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. I think it's a rejection of path chosen for you. So, pretty like deep and meaningful song to Pat Wilson. However, Rivers didn't see it like this. Rivers has referred to this song as just being a sarcastic take of that style that they're talking about. You know, singing along, drinking, you know, partying, having sex, all that stuff wasn't part of Rivers' lifestyle. He actually detested this lifestyle and also detested drinking. He has said that he hates to drink and he will only drink unless he has to. So to him, this was just like a make fun of, poke fun of the people living this lifestyle. Time for some fun facts. The starting verse of the track is actually a reference to the song Round and Round by Rat. Round and Round was a song that they will frequently use as their closer for every show. By the way, if you're really cool, you shout smoke dope in this song. So like, and someone bought me a beer when I said it, so thank you, man. At a live event in 2018, Jason Cropper like was brought in as a special guest, and Rivers introduced them as, hey, that's the guy who wrote the guitar riff for, you know, Surf Wax America. And so everyone was like, oh, what the fuck? Moving forward to the 7th track on the list, we have Say It Ain't So. Now, the main inspiration for this song was an experience Cuomo had when he was in his teenage years. Cuomo was suspecting that his stepdad was an alcoholic and, you know, drinking all this beer and that he was going to walk out on their family. This fear came from a misunderstanding that Cuomo had between his real parents, which he believed that his dad left because he was an alcoholic. Now, if you go to the Blue Album in Spotify or whatever, I can say in Spotify, I don't know if in any other like apps it says this because I'm a Spotify user. The song does says that it's a different mix. I can't double check right now. I don't really want to double check, but I'm right. I know this. The reason why is because the song was actually remixed. Now, Weezer had already a bad reputation or a bad experience with remixes done by Geffen, but this time it was for the better. The mix didn't change a whole lot. It just changed the instruments slightly and didn't touch the guitar and all that stuff. So it was pretty much the same song, just a little bit better. And since the band loved this so much, they were actually like, hey, let's put it in the album. The music video, it wasn't as a heavy hitter as Buddy Holly or Undone. The video was a whole lot smaller and a whole lot more modest at the time. The music video was just simply them in their garage. This garage was like a place they used to live in, you know, back when they were recording. You know, Carl Koch is in there, you know, they're all just having fun, you know, fucking around in their garage and the place they used to live in, all this other stuff. The band even plays hacky sack. It's pretty good. Unfortunately, it didn't do as many numbers as they thought it was gonna do, but it's a pretty good music video. Now, some fun facts that I want to throw out there that are pretty funny to me. Brian Bell has said that Say It Ain't So is his favorite Weezer song. When he saw the band live for the first time, he saw Say It Ain't So and he was just like, no one has made this before, like this is pretty good. But in that show, funny enough, before he went there, Jason Cropper came up to him with a flyer and he was just like, hey, I'm the guitarist for this band, like you should see us, man, we're pretty good. And Brian was like, oh yeah, I'll go. And then he took his job. Moving to the next one, we got In the Garage. In the Garage was written alongside Holiday and Buddy Holly. This is because River was just suddenly like overwhelmingly optimistic after being signed by Geffen. The famous garage they're talking about actually shows up in Say It Ain't So. That's the original like Weezer house, I could say. But yeah, it talks about their old home being in this garage, and it's their little safe place. Now, I want to jump into the lyrics for a second here. Not too much, but the lyrics for this song were actually what caused the media to paint the picture of Weezer that we have now today. Homage to that happy place where no one judges you for your comic books, D&D figurines, and Kiss posters. The hopeless ambition of In the Garage will make it the defining song of nerd rock. So of course the lyrics were a little bit nerdish. You know, they had I Got the Dungeon Master Guide, all this other stuff. A lot of people connected it to nerd rock. Nerd rock and geek rock, I don't give a shit, they're all the same. But yeah, people put Weezer in that category now. The music video for In the Garage was kind of like a half-assed attempt at a music video. The main reason why they were going to shoot a video was because many other stations wanted a music video from Weezer, but they couldn't use Buddy Holly at the time because Buddy Holly was an MTV exclusive. So they were in Denver, Colorado. They had a live show. Carl Koch was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna record. And that was a music video. Fun facts I can throw in there is that Cuomo has said that this song is very similar to the Beach Boys songs In My Room. In live shows, it was usually Cuomo who always took the harmonica part. However, Brian Bell started stepping up to that role too, changing it up with Holiday. Now, if you're a Holiday fan, I lied. I actually have a lot of info about Holiday, so strap on. Now, Holiday is a simple song. There's nothing much to it. Like, there's no real, like, actual, I should stop talking. Rivers has stated that this song is just mostly made up of stuff that he was just into at the time. Now, a little reference to point out, just a little fun fact to throw out here, is that Cuomo really liked Jack Kerouac, a famous philosopher. And in the breakdown of the song, an opening line is On the Road with Jack Kerouac, which is a reference to Kerouac's novel On the Road. The road is any form of escapism, be it beautiful melodies, drinking, drugs, love, art, whatever. However, it is important to note that even in the song Holiday, escape is short-lived. Right after the line, On this road will never die, come the ominous crashing chords of fate. Now, Pat Wilson is known to have a vocal part, like some singing in this song. Wilson has another part in the Blue Album that he also shares some of the vocals. However, this will be the last time on Weezer that Wilson will share his vocals. However, I think around 2008, that's when they'll use him again for vocals. Now, I hate to spoil the manga here, but we all know what happened to Matt Sharp. He didn't die or anything, he just left Weezer. With that, they needed a new bassist. Scott Schreiner came into the picture. We all know him, love the dude, he's pretty good. However, in one of the many shows that they were doing around in the 2000s, Holiday was picked on the set list, and the set lists were pretty random. But also, even then, like, Holiday wasn't played that much, even before the 2000s. So there wasn't really any, practice done for this song. Schreiner flubbed the bridge. He flubbed the bass line. It was a pretty poor performance for him, but everyone kind of understood that, like, yeah, you shouldn't know this song. Like, we don't play this. After the song was done, everyone was laughing. Everyone found it humorous. Cuomo even was like, hey, Scott just won a Grammy. Pretty fun stuff. It was a pretty fun time. Yeah. Now, moving to the last song on the Blue Album is Only in Dreams. Now, Only in Dreams, from what I've seen, is the most, like, universally-liked song from the Weezer fandom. Everybody likes this song. It's a pretty good song. I believe that it's the strongest Weezer work out there. If you ask me, I want the heavy hitters here. Like, I don't want some Buddy Holly. I want the best work from Weezer. I will choose Only in Dreams to show you. Don't want to, sell this song to you that you probably won't care about, but this song is truly special. Almost 8 minutes. There's like a whole 3-minute build up. Matt Sharp goes crazy on the bass. It's just a good song. Now, everyone loved this song. However, Rivers didn't feel the same way about this song. Cuomo at one point has infamously said that Only in Dreams was very gay, Disney gay. On top of that, his brother Lees was also pretty ashamed of the song, which Rivers wasn't too much of a fan of. Rivers has said that he stole this bass line from another song they had and just slapped it to Only in Dreams. And then they're like, well, it's the only song we have around, so like, let's make this the last one. However, not a lot of people believe this, or they think he was joking or just changed his mind over these statements, because he seems pretty amused when people bring up Only in Dreams and being like, hey, like, remember when you said this about it? And he's like, I was a kid. Now, my personal opinion, I don't think that's true. I think just Rivers wanted to insult the song because it got pretty popular, and at the time, he didn't like that he was getting too popular, kind of that weird little stage. It would be kind of insane that they just made this little, like, closing ballad that's perfect for closing an album, and they didn't intend that. I feel like they had some intentions. I feel like they were planning for this. It's a pretty good song. I love it, but those little comments from Rivers were definitely keeping people like, what? Did you actually not like the song? And that's all the songs from the Blue Album. That's it. We did My Name is Jonas. We fucking Buddy Hollied. We Say It Ain't So. And We Only in Dreams. And that's it. May 10th, 1994, song drops. Before we get into, like, the accolades of just the aftermath of what happened, I want to get into a pretty, like, interesting topic that I found. We all know that Weezer got a lot of shit for releasing the Blue Album. Why were people stinking up the place about Weezer? Well, Weezer didn't have enough cred in the music industry. This cred that people usually talk about is because Weezer didn't have a previously, like, made album that didn't do so well, but it was still kind of good. at the time, that's how people say that your career should start off with, or like the normal way. You know, you release an album, it's not that good, but you can definitely see like, you know, some potential out of it, and then you make the other one, you know, another album, the second album, and that's your like masterpiece, or you know, it's more credible like that. However, Weezer didn't have that. Off the bat, they just became famous. They became big, and a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people were even saying that Weezer was a plant. Like, they weren't thinking that this was genuinely dudes that just got together and made a band. I see this metaphor being thrown around a lot of why people didn't like this. I don't know how this metaphor came to be, or this analogy I should say, where people say that, well, it wasn't their Bleach to their Nirvana, meaning like, of course, Nirvana released Bleach. It wasn't as successful as Nevermind, but it was still a solid album that they could say, hey, we made this, now we're gonna make something better, which was Nevermind. And you know, they weren't just superstars all of a sudden. And to a lot of pretentious music fans, that was a big problem for Weezer. To put this into perspective of just how large the Blue album just blew up, it dropped in May, right? In December, it went gold. A month later, it went platinum. In January to August, that song went double platinum. 3 years later, the album went triple platinum. So they kind of just fucking hit, you know, all the marks right here on this one to be like, yeah, we're a plant. However, that was not the case. Weezer was not a plant, or maybe they just have like a really like well planned out story that, you know, they just made up to be like, yeah, we're not a plant actually. But as far as I know, as much as the details I've seen and all the archives that are out there, they weren't. Now, something I also wanted to get into was, I didn't want to aim just to like give you some facts about, you know, when were they in the hot billboards and when they reached these and these and these accolades and these awards, because I feel like anybody can do that. There's a fly right now, and I'm gonna kill it when this video is done. However, I feel that's very easy and very like surface level information that I don't feel the need to do that. You can easily search this up. My main point for this video was, I don't want to give you info that you can just easily search up, or just that like you search it up and Google just gives you the answer, you know, in the blue like highlighting thing. That's why I felt that looking for some stories, for some fun facts here and there, going to Weezerpedia, going on articles, all this other stuff, I felt like it was gonna make the video worthwhile to watch. This isn't just me looking at just basic Weezer facts and just telling them to you. I kind of wanted to just have as much information that it will be kind of hard to obtain, and that's what I'm here for, to give you that information that's just, you know, who really wants to scroll out, you know, 3-4 times just to actually get this information? I'd rather just give it to you. Of course, I'm not saying that all of this is everything that there is to Weezer. I have like 14 pages worth of Weezer like in front of me that are my notes, but that's not all there is to. I missed a lot, and I felt that the things I lost were for the sake of keeping the video short, but also a lot unnecessary, as I wanted to focus on the Blue album more than just Weezer as a whole. And that was a little bit of a struggle for this, not knowing when to put Weezer, you know, separately as an album and as a band, but I feel like I did a pretty good job at doing so. And yeah, to end up this video, I kind of wanted to end it off with a quote from Pitchfork Media. It was just them explaining how Weezer affected, you know, the music scene. In 1994, 70s rock had come to mean either a bastardized version of Led Zeppelin or a bullshit reconstruction of punk rock. As guitar nerds, Weezer saw influence there, but found true inspiration in forgotten bubblegum power pop like Cheap Trick, Raspberries, 2020, and The Quick. Most impressively, Rivers Cuomo rescued the thrilling guitar solo from finger-tapping metal and disregarding grunge and punk. A decade later, air guitaring to the album feels far less embarrassing than singing along. With the help of Spike Jonze, Weezer kept joy alive in the arena rock, making the critical repositioning of Weezer as some emo touchstone even more absent-minded. They call themselves Weezer, knowingly, for Christ's sake. And yeah, that's the Blue album. That's the impact the Blue album had. It's a pretty cool album. I know there's a lot of accolades. I know it was in the like top 100 like albums of all time on Rolling Stones, but like, who gives a shit about Rolling Stones? Just some food for thought that I've been thinking about ever since I started this video is, I want to point out that Rivers actually was pretty sad or pretty disappointed of how people viewed the Blue album. It's not that hard to search, and it's not that hard to find, and that Rivers actually believed they were going to be the next Nirvana out there. For him, the lyrics were personal, they were deep, and you know, they were part of him, so he thought people were going to resonate with that. A lot of people saw these lyrics as humorous, as funny, and not to be taken seriously at all. I kind of wanted to touch on this of imagine the feeling he must have got when the Blue album actually went platinum and all this other stuff, but it wasn't for the right reason. It wasn't because people were connecting with it, which people did connect with. Some of the songs actually people do understand and connect with the lyrics, but the biggest example being Undone, people didn't understand that that was a serious song, or they didn't actually believe that Rivers was fully serious here. And to me, that's a pretty sad fate. I do know that Rivers hated touring and hated being famous because it wasn't what he thought it was going to be. Well, that's all I have for the Blue album. This video took way too long than it should have. I think this is take number 4 out of all the time. The video kept fucking up. The audio kept fucking up. It was not a good time. But other than that, I did have a lot of fun making this video. It was the very first time I tried to make a serious video, or trying to make an actual professional kind of style video. I feel like there wasn't a lot of structure in this, but me having my notes and knowing what to say, I felt like it was kind of good. Other than that, next video I don't plan on making it Pinkerton. I feel like I'm just gonna throw a little curveball in there and then do Pinkerton, because I don't want to just be known as the loser boy who did Weezer, and I don't want to be a one-trick pony. Other than that, that's it for me. If I missed anything, any fact, like at all, like even if I was like, well, Rivers wore this type of shoe when this happened, just tell me, comments, talk about it, correct me. If you met the fucking dude, tell me about it, share it. This isn't for me to be like, yeah, this is everything about Blue album. So, let's talk about it. So, yeah.